Now, with pandemic-related restrictions slowly being eased off, two-wheeler manufacturers in India are slowly picking up the pace and getting back on track. Now, we've seen a flurry of vehicles this year alone in different segments being introduced into the markets, may it be adventure tourers, urban cruisers, commuter vehicles, and even the scooter segment, for that matter, has seen a number of vehicles being introduced. Now, in the Indian scooter scenario, there's been a lot of activity and a lot of flurry surrounding the electric two-wheelers or the electric scooter space. When it comes to ICE engine scooters, there's not a lot of activity that has gone on in the premium, more performance-focused scooter space. Now, Yamaha has addressed that as of September earlier this year. And now we are here with their new offering. They surprised us all with it. It's the new Aerox 155. We have spent a couple of days with the scooter, and after riding it around in the city and on the highway, variety is a spice of life. And this one is a real spicy cracker. I'm here to tell you what riding is all about, so let's get to it then. Now, with any premium two-wheeler, looks play an important factor. And that's something the Aerox 155 definitely has going for it. Now, this scooter is very aggressively styled. It's got a very aggressively shaped front end, as you can see from the design itself. The front apron is quite protruding in front, and it has a split headlamp unit with these really sporty looking DRLs, which look really neat. Also, this particular paint scheme is the grey vermilion paint scheme. It's one of the 3 options that you can have this scooter in. And this particular model comes with the orange 14-inch alloys that are clad in 110 by 80 section tires, and they add a very different dynamic to the entire look or the face of this scooter. Now move behind the apron, and this is the section that really sets the Aerox apart from any other scooter currently sold in India. Now, this is a maxi style scooter, so what that means is you have a center spine located here, which basically implies that you cannot mount the scooter as you would a normal conventional scooter. So you really got to swing your leg across this one. And as you can see, it has a heavily contoured knee recess area. Foot space is at an all-time premium because the fuel tank is in between your feet.
This will stop you from ferrying stuff like, say, a gas cylinder across town for a refill. Also, if you have a niece or nephew who you'd like to show around town while they stand out in front, well, this scooter isn't really going to help you out there. Moving back to the seating area, this step seat is massive, and the X-shaped panel on the spine gives the Aerox this unique sense of appeal. It looks solid and really adds this nice flow from the middle section moving on to the scooter's tail section. Now, things out back are quite basic as well, with a simple designed LED tail lamp unit, the hidden grab rails, while the turn indicators up front are nicely infused with the scooter's apron. The rear makes do with these nice motorcycle style LED blinkers. Another unique bit of the Aerox is its twin springs, the rear suspension, and the radiator that sits just ahead of the exhaust can with its sharp design heat shield. Now, this is all on the right hand side of the scooter, while on the left you get this rather large airbox that tends to stick out a bit. The Aerox might not be seen as the most practical scooter to own, especially with that center spine eating away at your foot space. But in terms of features, the scooter gets a good amount of the premium stuff, like the Bluetooth-enabled instrument cluster, which gives you a good amount of information like speed, trip, average economy, battery voltage, and a lot more. Heck, there's even a twin odometer setup, which basically emphasizes on the scooter's performance aspects. Then there's stuff like the multifunction key, a glove box with a 12-volt charging socket, the automatic start-stop system, which works brilliantly by the way, a side stand engine cutoff function, the obvious external fuel filler lid, single channel ABS by virtue of this scooter's displacement. Heck, there's even a generous underseat storage space of 24.5 liters, and this will easily swallow up your large full face helmet. So in terms of practicality alone, this Yamaha fares a lot better than you initially thought. Now, if you ask me to bring out my magnifying glass and try to find fault with the scooter, well, I'd say that a A couple of downsides are it doesn't come with turn-by-turn navigation or feature a brake lock. Also, the glove box, it can't be locked, and if you were to opt to keep your phone charging on the go, well, the box would have to be kept open because there's not enough space for your phone to fit inside with it closed. Not real deal breakers if you ask me, considering the amount of fun that you'll have riding the scooter. It all seems to overshadow any of these points I've just mentioned.
Now, the best thing about the Aerox has to be its 155cc single-cylinder engine. This is the same engine that's derived from the motor, the liquid-cooled motor in the R15. We really enjoyed that motor. It's a real hoot. It loves to be revved, and so does this one. This scooter also comes with VVA, or variable valve actuation, which basically gets torque distributed all along the power band. And this scooter just loves to be revved, and it just goes for it like its tail's on fire. This thing can really run.
Here's where the Aerox pulls out its trump cards. It's like no CVT scooter that's currently sold in the country. In fact, it doesn't behave like a scooter at all. A slight flick of the wrist will propel you forward with serious intent. The VVA tech distributes torque brilliantly across the power band. And whether you're traveling 40, 60 or even 80 kmph for that matter, the scooter will just want to blow everything else on the road into the weeds. It's like it has some sort of underlying vendetta with every other road user, and it just wants to relegate everything into its rearview mirrors. Even those boy racers who pull up to you at a signal to check out your scooter, well, let's just say they'll be picking your dust out of their teeth every time the lights go green. Just when you think that this scooter is going to begin to wheeze and run out of steam, the Yamaha pulls out performance from its 155cc bag of tricks. Then this will really take you by surprise. It's only around the indicated 110 kmph mark when it finally feels like it's running out of breath, and that in its own right is a phenomenal feat. It's been a while since a small capacity Yamaha made me feel this exhilarated. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that the Aerox 155 is to scooters what the KTM Duke 200 was to its own segment back when it first came out. To put it simply, the Aerox is disturbingly brilliant. The shocking part is that when I just got my hands on the scooter, I didn't really try to be at my most efficient best, let's say, and really rode the Aerox how I'd like to ride it had I owned it. Now, the Yamaha returned a very respectable 38 kmpl, and once I actually did try to ride conservatively, the scooter returned an impressive 44 kmpl in the combined city and highway cycles. While it may very much look like a scooter, the Aerox 155 certainly doesn't behave like one, and I mean that in a very good way. As you would expect from any two-wheeler that's built for speed and performance, comfort takes a step back. It's set up so stiff, in fact, that it will put other performance-focused motorcycles of a similar cubic capacity to shame. Now, the normal everyday rider will find the ride quality to be very harsh, but if you're the enthusiastic sorts, you'd like to rephrase the term to it being communicative. The front end isn't as light as a conventional scooter, but then again, this isn't your average scooter at all, not by a long shot. It's easy to get used to quick turn-ins on this one. The only tricky bit about the scooter is with regard to the knee room that it has on offer. Well, it's quite tight in regard to this, with the scooter having a rather rigid knee recess area. Somebody like me who's 5'9" just about fit snug with all my riding gear on. Now, if you're around 6 feet in height, chances are you'll hurt yourself if you hit a bump at speed. Also, you can pretty much rule out the possibility of safely charging your phone on the go. You'll pretty much hit your knee on the glove box flap and send your phone flying into oblivion should you try to do so. Now, on a more lighter note, those awesome looking 14-inch wheels clad in 110 by 80 section front and the 140 by 80 rear, well, they provide a commendable level of grip and traction over tricky surfaces.
Now, if you're in the market for a 160cc performance-oriented premium scooter, unfortunately, there aren't a lot of options for you. Of course, there's the SR series of scooters that have currently undergone a facelift, and then there is this, the Yamaha Aerox 155. Now, let me just answer a couple of questions for you real quick to sum it up in general. Is it the most comfortable scooter to ride? No, it isn't. Is it the most practical scooter to own and ride? Well, that depends on how you see it, because it's got a lot of features that really work in its favor. Of course, there's the engine, there's its ride and handling dynamics, which is spot on for a scooter of this caliber. It has a generous underseat storage space and so on. So it really comes together as a complete package. This scooter is a real game changer in its segment, and Yamaha has got a winner on its hands.